G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 52, and of course with the AFL season just a few weeks away and the match sims completed, we have actually quite a lot to talk about, some injury news, some re-signings already coming through for a big player, some big news on the Concussion front and tribunal front already, and then we move into a bit of world sport where we take a look at the English Premier League. But without further ado, let's get straight into this week's episode of the Boundary Riders podcast.
And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah.
He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be more than just AFL. I think this is next season.
It's at the handle at the back, Nick Dankos to give the prize home! He's done it!
But of course, guys, before we get straight into it, my brother's favourite designs on the market, mine favourite as well, BR Designs, our very own footy print company, is your one-stop shop for all AFL prints. I'll show you the little clip on the screen right now so you can see the designs. But if you head over to the website, which is linked down below, you can get any design for any club. That's from Collingwood to the Giants, from the least popular to the most popular. We accommodate for all AFL fans. Use code BRPOD for 10% off your purchase. And yeah, I mean, that's basically all from me. Your favourite design, is it the Port one? Or
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's probably the Swans one, but also like the Gold Coast one. You can kind of see it in the background here. Gold Coast, West Coast, kind of behind Jack's scarf. But yeah, that's basically it. Anyway, my brother back with me as always on episode 52. Yeah. A lot of stuff going on this week. Kind of really got the ball rolling now.
Yeah, I think, we're getting back into the groove of the AFL with them actually getting back on the field as well, so...
Yeah, with the match simulations that just happened. I really appreciate you guys' support on the review video. So we're going to be doing that every single week. I mentioned at the end of that video as well, the start of it. That's where we're moving them to now, the review. That's also where the Boundary Riders votes for the medal will be going as well. So we won't be doing that on this podcast because by the time we do the podcast, I'm thinking now it's going to be late week, but mid to late week. So... I think by then everyone's going to be forgetting about the round that was. So I think it's just better to have done it that way. So that's what we're going to be doing. And we'll be doing a review next week for the other preseason games, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the episode. But let's move into a couple of bits of news. We are recording this on a Monday, by the way. So as what happened last week, every single piece of news, like big news, got just dropped on Thursday and Friday last week, which is... not very considerate of the AFL. I think they should be accommodating a lot more for us.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's very selfish. But anyway, first bit of news that dropped today was Luke Parker for Sydney. He actually broke his arm during the match sim against the Giants on the Thursday, I believe. Or is it Friday? Friday afternoon. Friday morning. So he will miss the start of the season. I think they're going for scans on Friday morning. So we'll get more information about that. On the Swans front and how long long he'll be out for Sydney. I talked to you about this when you first sent me this. I think this will be very interesting to see how the Swans would line up midfield wise. I think this is interesting how Sydney will go if they're going to go with youth and go with Chad Warner, or they're going to go with Taylor Adams here. Now, what's your first thoughts when you hear about a player like Luke Parker? Obviously. Very sad to see that he's injured. He'll be back better than ever, whenever he does come back. But what would you say, what are you thinking, obviously, outside of looking in for the Swans?
I think that, what they were saying during the broadcast is that it seemed like Luke Parker was going to play a bit more split time between forward and midfield. Okay. So I think that that's what will still happen, But I think with the injury to him, I think it will open the door for... I think you put a Taylor Adams more in the midfield. Yeah. Just because you need the experience that he does bring. And, but I think during that match sim, as we saw, that Chad Warner did play well when he did kick a couple of goals. So
yeah, I think that's something that Chad Warner kind of lost last year. And... I think he had a bit of an up and down sort of year for the Swans. So we'll see how he goes. I think that, like you said, that he will get... I do think that Taylor Adams will probably take that role a little bit, so we get a little bit more midfield minutes. But I think we'll see Errol Goulden straight through there now. I don't think he'll be playing a lot of wing. Yeah, I think he's going to be through the guts now, and I think that Chad Warner will definitely get that go. So I do think that a lot more of the Luke Parker role that was going to be happening this year with him playing like split mid forward. I think that's definitely going to be taken by Taylor Adams.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
I think also James Jordan was playing also in that match sim a bit of wing and through the midfield.
Yeah.
So that could also happen as well. So they've got a lot of options, Sydney. So it'll be interesting how they go. I think this week, during their actual preseason game, will show a lot.
Yeah, well, they're going up against the Brisbane, so I think it's good for them. You know, obviously they're not going to be going at 100% either side, but I mean, at least they're going against a side with some hard-bodied midfielders as well. So they'll get a good look there. On other news, just on the breaking news front, it does seem that Ben King, has actually re-signed with the Gold Coast. He's only done it for 2 years.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Has that got into free agency, I believe?
I think they'll get into free agency. So he'll go if they don't significantly improve.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough thing to say. So I think we saw this with not Josh Kelly, but even sort of Josh Kelly, how he signed for a couple of years for the Giants and then waited to see what would happen at free agency.
Yeah,
I think that's a thing that players are looking at now, signing a little contract to get them to free agency, because then the club that they're at, has to pay a lot more, has to pay overs
to keep
them at the club. Like we even saw, I'm not saying that Josh Kelly's exactly overpaid, but we obviously saw he got paid a lot of money to stay at the Giants at the time. And obviously he was getting offered, that was obviously heightened because the clubs of North Melbourne and that were offering him staggering amounts.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be interesting now with Ben King, what he does. Yeah. Because every club's going to look at him in 2 years. Every club, especially in Melbourne, is going to look at him.
Yeah, we've already seen the likes of Collingwood and I think it was Melbourne as well. Were looking very heavily at him a couple of years ago, and obviously St Kilda were.
I think I still think, because you look at it, Tim Embry's sort of up there in age.
Yeah. And they don't really have a lot of others.
No, and they don't have a lot of other tall forwards. So I think in 2 years you'll see St Kilda, who don't use a lot of their money they've used it a bit this
Brad Hill.
Yeah, they've used it a bit this season. They've used it the last couple of seasons, but I think they'll wait and they'll use a lot on a deal for getting there.
I do think as well that St Kilda have never really landed. Well, not never, but especially the last 10 years, especially when free agency has come in, they've never been able to land that big fish.
Yeah, they've tried.
We saw De Goey a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So they kind of went for Dustin Martin, I think, as well, when it kind of went down, when a cup way back, I think it was 2018, 2017. Yeah. So I think that's also another talking point, but. Yeah, I think that's an interesting choice that he's only signed for a couple of years. I thought when I first heard it, he's going to sign a big long deal, but to sign for 2 years, it's kind of looking like he's setting himself up for a free agency, push, and maybe that his manager. I wouldn't be surprised if his player manager was like, just get to free agency so he can get a bit of a cutback, because the player managers obviously get a cutback on their deal.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's they're trying to get a cutback. They're like, get to free agency, bro, and then we'll get the big bucks, and then he's like, yeah, I'll get fucking 30% of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the main reason why he's done it. But let's move into the news that obviously dropped from the match sims. So obviously in the review we talked about all the games. So we're not going to be doing that, but one of the big incidents that happened over the match simulations across the 4 or 5 day period was Powell Pepper's bump on Mark Keane. So official news has been sent to the tribunal directly. It says here that the incident was graded as careless contact, severe impact, and high contact. So basically, when you hear severe impact, anything that's severe rated, I believe, is automatically over 4 weeks.
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. Yeah.
So, on first glance, when I was watching the game, I didn't see a lot in it. Looking at the replay, obviously he hit him high. He elected to bump. You're always putting yourself in danger when that happens. I do think that there's been a lot of reports of people saying that he planted his foot and deliberately went for the knock. I don't believe that. I think he went for the bump. He got tackled to the ground not tackled to the ground, but he was held by another Port player and kind of got directed into Powell Pepper, who elected to bump instead of trying to tackle him. So I think he'll get weeks. I think that's obvious. I don't think there's any way he gets away with it. Do you believe as a Port fan that he should get weeks for it?
Yes, I do. I do, especially half of the last couple, especially the past week with what's been happening. But they're going to take... You'd think it's the first big incident of the season. They're going to put a foot down. They're going to put their foot down.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's going to be 5 weeks.
You think 5?
I think they'll go really hard and give them 5 weeks for it.
Yeah, I think they're going to set the example of this is the first real incident of the year. They obviously... We'll talk about Angus Brayshaw in a minute, but that was obviously... That just happened through the week. I mean, that was only a couple of days after, I believe. Happened on Friday, the game, and I think it was Wednesday. Thursday or the Wednesday, Brayshaw retired. So it was so close. Yeah. And now he's been sent directly to the tribunal. I think 4 or 5 weeks at a minimum. Yeah. I think there's some interesting talking points though. This will be the first time since they, I think, changed a lot of the rules regarding like Maynard's hit last year. We'll talk about the Maynard stuff in a sec. But yeah, I think that he's going to be pretty much... I don't want to say run through the coals, because I mean, I do believe that he should be suspended for what he did. I think that's fair enough. But I do think, like you said, he's going to be set an example of. He's elected to bump. You shouldn't be doing that. And that's just him cooked, basically. Yeah. So he's probably going to miss at least the first month of the season, which is a pretty big loss for Port too, because he had a very good year last year. Yeah. And so
he's just been put into the leadership group, so
good timing.
It's a good start for him, but yeah, I think...
I don't think... Like, I will say this. I don't think he had the thought of, I want to hurt this guy or anything. He elected to bump. I think it was a pretty split decision. It wasn't... When you slow... I hate when they slow down the play. Like,
it makes it a lot worse.
Yeah, of course it does. But I mean, the players have a split decision every time. And you're sitting there like... Oh my god, that he... Like, people were like saying that he planted the foot and tried to aim for him. It's like, bro, are you fucking serious?
It was like, what was it, last year when Cozzy Pickett literally flew at someone? I can't remember the incident, but he literally launched at him. Yeah. It wasn't... I've looked at it. It's not the same. Yeah. It's not like he planted his foot and launched at him.
Yeah, exactly. And like, Cozzy Pickett literally stood there, jumped off the ground and aimed for him. Yeah. Like, that was fucking... And he only got 3 weeks for that, I think. So, yeah, I think that's over. That statement is stupid. I don't think he aimed for it. But I do believe that when you elect to bump, you just throw away all your innocence, basically, especially now. So I think that's just what happens. But moving into the... there's been so many news stories that's dropped over the past week. So, of course, I still think the AFL are very selfish for not letting us have the prime time to report all this stuff. But anyway, Angus Brayshaw did retire.
Yeah, I think it was really sad. Yeah. It was a shock as well.
I mean, yeah. Well, obviously it was a shock, but on the other hand, when that happened, like last season, there was always that inkling of like, he's had head knocks in the past. Yeah. This could be the end. And unfortunately, that's the case. I believe that he's had medical advice saying that he should retire, and he's taken that advice, which I think is more than fair. Yeah. If you get told by a professional that, look, you are going to put your life in danger if you continue to play the game. And those, like, sponge helmets that he wears, that's not going to do shit when you get hit. Obviously, as we saw what happened. And he could wear an NFL helmet. I don't think you can, but I still think that there's still head trauma that could be occurred, which we obviously see in the NFL all the time. But yeah, I think it's just really, it's unlucky because he's had a lot of head knocks before that Maynard hit, and that was just one that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I do think that there's a lot of reporting about this that's a bit shitty. Well, not reporting, sorry, but just the public outrage of it is warranted, but also it's going very far. Like, there's like Braden Maynard made a post on his Instagram or something, and everyone below it was like, "Oh, you just blew this guy's career. Thanks for ruining this guy's career." And it's like, look, if that was the first incident and his career was over, maybe.
Like, if it was first game, like, you think he probably has. Yeah, but he's had a good career. He had a good career.
I mean, but also he had so many head knocks in his career before. Like, he had it very early on, and then there was a good couple of years there where he just didn't have one. But you look at the Paddy McCartan situation. He had a lot of head knocks, and then he finally got back, and then just one unfortunate incident, and it was gone. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's different because obviously Maynard's situation was a lot different than, like, Paddy McCartan. Obviously, his was an incidental knee from I think it was a team. Oh, no, it was an opponent. It was a Port player.
Yeah, Port player, yeah.
Fucking Port. But anyway, but cost his career. But I do think that, yeah, it's a different situation. But at the end of the day, I mean, you could also look at them as they were both accidents. But, like, obviously, Maynard's is different.
If you look at the AFL, yeah, that's how they took it.
I mean, I think looking back at it now, it does beg the question, should have Maynard been suspended? I think we've seen a few people, I don't know if you saw Will Schofield's opinion of it.
Oh, yeah, because he had
his brother on his podcast.
Hamish Brayshaw, yeah.
Yeah. I do, and I think that obviously Hamish Brayshaw is obviously way too close to this, but his opinion, people like hear his opinion and they're like, oh, you're an idiot. It's like, bro, it's his brother. Of course he's going to have an opinion that's fucking very strong.
A bit biased as well, yeah.
Yeah, a bit biased, but also he's going to be strong on his brother.
And yeah.
Like, fucking people calling him an idiot and like, oh, you fucking suck, bro. Fucking, you don't even know the game. It's like, bro, it's his fucking brother.
And like you said, his family. You're going to be the closest to him.
Yeah. And if someone sees him some guy flying through the air, hitting him in the head, knocking him to the ground, knowing the stuff he's gone through, and probably knowing more than everyone, he would know more than everyone else.
Yeah.
He's a family member. Of course he's going to be passionate about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So people getting angry at Hamish Brayshaw, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But I do, and I hate when people go on these, like, either side, the Brayshaw side, the Maynard side, any side, I think you're a fucking idiot if you go to their, like, social pages or their going to message them and saying, oh, you suck, you should fucking die. It's like you're worse than them.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you just make it worse. So, or so I think that, look, Brayshaw's career endings, I did put not a post, but I put out a story, and I did say that it's really sad that a career has ended abruptly, especially in this situation, because I think he was 28. 28, 29. Yeah. So he still had quite a few years left in him, and it's really sad that his career's been cut short because of this. I mean, it's really sad when a player gets cut short due to their career gets cut short due to injury, like Paddy McCartan as well, and it's something that you can't come back from. It's not like Naismith, for example, who obviously got delisted by the Swans, and he's now back at Richmond, recovering from an ACL. It's not gonna. Obviously, it can affect your life in the long term, but your brain is like a lot more of a. I don't know what the word would be. It's a more important organ, I guess. If that's that sounds so stupid of me, but at the end of the day, it's more important to your livelihood compared to like concussion, because obviously we see all the studies and that come out now, CTE and all that sort of information about like what happens with like not so much the short term effects but the long term and what happens in the future. We saw Shane Tuck a couple of years ago, tragic that he ended his own life. So obviously there's so many issues with it that the AFL, I believe, will be taking a stronger stance on it now. I think that like Powell Pepper was the issue. I think if this happened, like if the Maynard hit, let's say he does it on another player, the exact same incident, I believe now that would get 3 weeks. Yeah. Now, I think the AFL would, at this point, have to take. And I know it's tough because obviously it is in the act of it's in the act of doing something in the football act, I guess. But 10 years ago, you could say the bump was a football act. Yeah. Jumping up the way he did and doing that, I just think now, I don't want to get a bunch of hate comments saying, "Oh, you're an idiot," because it's a football act. But at this stage, they have to, even on the money side of things for the AFL, they have to take a better look at it and just be like, "Look, we know it's a football act, but at the end of the day, you've done a serious injury to a player. You've caused an injury and." We see that with other stuff, like, they say that suspensions now, injury is is taken into account. So if it's taken into account, then you have to suspend the player. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but you just have to.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting what happens. I think Brayshaw in the end made the right decision.
Oh, definitely.
And he's put his health in front of his footy career, which is gonna finish, which would have finished in what 6 years.
Yeah, and I mean, he was at Melbourne, and who knows, they could have even gone on to win another one. But end of the day, he made the right choice. He chose his health and his well-being. And some fucking idiot, I saw this fucking guy on YouTube who made a video talking about how basically saying that Brayshaw did it for the money.
Because he's on his
contract.
And then he just started
and then put a thumbnail up and fucking said that he has a glass jaw.
Wow.
I'll show you the video after. I'm not going to mention the YouTuber because the guy on YouTube. I thought, you fucking idiot. I mean, you really think that fucking Brayshaw quit his career for fucking money?
Yeah.
Are you a fucking moron?
Yeah, that's just...
Anyway, I don't know if he was a Collingwood supporter. And there's fucking Collingwood supporters bloody posting under the post or whatever, under Melbourne stuff, Brayden Maynard's profile picture, like, acting like that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think Brayden Maynard's happy that fucking a player retired because of that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think that's the case, then Brayden Maynard's an asshole. I don't think that's the case, though. I think he'd be very angry, he'd be very distraught about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I bet you that we saw him try and go over to his house and try and, try and console him a little bit when this whole thing happened. I don't know about that. I don't know if that was a good idea. I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think if he does it, then he's a bit of he could look bad. If he doesn't do it, then he looks like he doesn't care. So, yeah. End of the day, though, I think that Sam Powell Pepper is going to be... He's going to be set an example of. And maybe it's fair enough. I don't know. I do think that they shouldn't be setting a player to be an example just to threaten the competition. I think they should treat everyone equally. But it's pretty hard to do that, especially how the week went.
Especially how the amount of times they changed the rules.
Yeah.
They changed the rules, they changed the laws in the rule book, and it's sometimes too hard to keep an eye on it. And I said this, we said this plenty of times last season. Every week it's different. Something slightly different about the thing, even if it's the same act, is taken in two different categories.
Yeah.
It's like they've got so many different. It's just a whole balls up. And
yeah. I think this would be a perfect way to start the season. Is if, not perfect, obviously, but if it's be a good way to start to set the precedent that if you cause an injury to the head, you just get suspended. And I know that's fucking back in my day, you were allowed to hit people in the head. That was one of the guy's excuses on the fucking YouTube video as well. He's like, back in my day, it was a lot tougher back then. Yeah, bro, fucking 10, 15 years ago, the guy was fucking 5 years older than me. Bro, you didn't fucking see football 20, 30 years ago. And by the way, I think players now, knowing what's going on and knowing the seriousness of head injuries, you got to take it a lot more seriously than saying, "Oh, come on, he only elbowed him in the head. What the fuck? It's not that bad, jeez. Back in my day, I got shot at in the war. Oh, fuck me." Anyway, fucking hell, I'm just gonna keep on getting angry about that video. I will show you later because it was fucking ridiculous. But anyway, let's move on. Well, I will say obviously, glad that Brayshaw made the right decision in the end.
Yeah,
and I think that the players, I know that so many of these players would have been thinking 14, 15, 16 years of old, this is their career and this is their life. But at the end of the day, after your career ends at 30, 35, you've still got 50, 60 years left of your life.
Yeah.
Do you want to live them in, having health, or do you want to be living them in a grave? But you made the right choice.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to something a little bit lighter because, I just think that's terrible. Oh, we have Joel Smith to talk about too. Fuck me. Bro, couldn't these... I swear to God. Anyway, let's get into Joel Smith. So, if you don't know, last few weeks he's been... Well, for a while now, he's been known to have been, snorting coke through the season last year. And he was supposed to be out for the first 3 games of the season. The first 3 games, I believe, was he's suspended for Melbourne.
Yeah, I think so.
It was something like that. But anyway, then it was reported last week that Demons Utility Joel Smith accused of trafficking cocaine. So, party animal, this guy.
Yeah,
This is the first guy you want to be invited into your parties.
Yeah, I think they were saying that there was times that he'd be at the club and offering it to offering it to players. It's like, fucking hell, dude. What a bit ballsy, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that's fucking good. I think he's like, bro, I'm a bit of the the devil's dandruff.
He's like, bro, it's only laundry detergent. Jesus Christ. You can even sniff it. They're like, no, we agree with you. He's like, come on.
I bet you that's what happened.
I don't know. Like,
I've been thinking about this. I think that if he has to go to court for all this is what I would do as his lawyer. I'd be like, Your Honour, how many people in the world are named Joel Smith? I rest my case. That's what I do. How many people in the world do you think are named Joel Smith? So many.
yeah.
How many people just in Victoria you think are named Joel Smith? If they see like on one of the little baggies or whatever, they said, "Oh, this is from Joel Smith Industrials." I don't know, Joel Smith Industrials or Drug Extraordinaire. I bet you, if the lawyers just go, my one piece of evidence, they could have all the evidence in the world that say Joel Smith did this. You just go, how many people in the world are named Joel Smith? They would have those records, and then he just walks out back onto the MCG next week. I rest my case.
Yeah.
I think that's a good excuse.
Alright.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I just think it's. I will be interested to see how Melbourne go this year.
Oh yeah. Now
There's been so many off-field issues.
Yeah.
And I know that some of them have been like way overreacted, but the fact that this guy could have been I think there's a huge issue in the AFL with like drugs and.
I think it is so put under the pushed under the rug.
I think as well now with the standard of journalism in this country for sports journalism, I would not be surprised if in the next couple of years we get a huge amount of reports coming out of just clubs getting it leaked. Because we've seen a lot of like leaks coming out so many times, but I think now would be it will be starting to be a lot more prominent. Sorry guys, a little bit of a jump skip there, but we're back now. So, to the pre-season games coming up, I think 2 will be done by the time this podcast comes out, which are Collingwood versus Richmond. First game is on Tuesday night. Then we have Carlton versus Melbourne Wednesday night. So when this comes out, it'll be Thursday. But we have the Swans versus the Lions on Thursday evening, about 3:30, 4 o'clock. GWS will play the Gold Coast on Thursday night. Then we have Geelong versus Essendon on Friday afternoon. And then Friday night is Port Adelaide versus Freo. Then we have the Crows versus West Coast on Saturday afternoon as well. Saturday night is Hawthorn versus the Bulldogs. And then Sunday we have the Saints versus North Melbourne. So those are the Community Series games coming up. I am planning to actually do the Swans game for the Community Series commentary that I'm going to be doing. So I said on the stream last time, I said I'm never doing a game like a Swans game in round. I think
you'd be horrible.
Yeah. I think with the Community Series game, I'm interested to see how it goes. So, might as well fucking go. And look, if we do make the finals, and maybe I have to. Like, if we make the prelim or something, maybe I'll have to. And I won't do it like a normal stream. Like, usually what I try to do on stream is I try to commentate the games because I think it's a lot more interesting than just sitting there watching it and then maybe making my thoughts. So I think maybe we'll have to do it a bit differently. But maybe if we get to that point in the season, maybe, knock on wood. There's no wood here. But, knock on wood. Maybe I'll have to stream it. What if we make the grand final and we win the grand final? I need footage of that. That would actually be pretty good. But if Port made the grand final, we have to live stream it.
Oh, yeah.
You have to take the day off. Hey, if we make the grand final, if one of our teams make the grand final, we're going to try and get tickets.
Yeah, we're going to the game.
We're doing our best to go to the game. But anyway, do you think, will you be able to watch the Port game?
Was it Friday night now?
It's Friday night. So
I'll be probably able to watch the 2 early games on.
I was down in Melbourne too.
Yeah, I'll be able to watch the Carlton game on Wednesday night. So
yeah, so you can give us your thoughts on that. We'll try and obviously in the review, whatever, we'll get it out try and get it out Sunday night, if not Monday morning. So we'll do our best to do that. I usually try to do them because my brother has work, so we'll do the best to do that. But end of the day, I may try and stream another game, but at this stage, I'm banking on the Thursday night Swans game, or Thursday afternoon Swans game. That's probably what I'm aiming for at this stage. Maybe I'll do one later in the weekend, but we'll see how that one pans out. And so, before we get to World Sport, there's one more thing I want to take a look at. Now, I think we've made it pretty clear on this podcast that we're not the biggest fans of the journalists, a lot of the journalists in this country.
Or any of them.
AFL journalists in general. Now, AFL Central over on Instagram, they've posted something very interesting. And by the way, go follow them because they were the only ones who actually gave a fuck about these preseason games and posted all the statistics about it.
They seem more interested, more invested in it than the actual people that broadcast the actual game.
Yeah, so they didn't have anyone on champion data to do it. They didn't do anything. He did it all himself. And he didn't do it all himself. Sorry, basically the AFL community who watched the games and him were like able to.
Help each other out and do it.
Yeah, do it, because fucking no one else did. Anyway, he's compiled some very interesting news about a journalist which we haven't really talked about before, because he's basically a nothing. No one cares about him. I don't even think his parents really cared when he was birthed. But anyway, Sam McClure. Now, I think we brought this point up about a month ago, but I think we're going to reignite it. We're going to start the series of our new segment here. So we called it Prune of the Week, basically because this person gives us the shits. Now, this is going to be our first nominee, and on the Boundary Riders live stream medal wave at the end of the year, how they do, we'll be announcing the winner. So for the first nominee of the year, we're going to be giving it to Sam McClure. Now, he has AFL Central has brought up some very interesting points and has brought all this information together of the things that Sam McClure has been reporting or giving his opinion on since January the 29th to February the 23rd. So that's basically in a month's period. Yeah. The way his opinion has changed, basically to just try and get clicks. The pure, the pure look of someone who is literally there just to get clicks and doesn't actually give their opinion. They're truthful. I don't even know if this is a truthful opinion because he chops and changes every single fucking week, literally.
Or daily.
So on January the 29th, he came and said that if Charlie Curnow can't carry the team, the Blues could miss the 8. On February the 7th, he said Carlton have to be premiership favourites. So he's gone from, if Charlie Curnow can't carry them, they can't even make the 8, to, in a weeks later, gone to Carlton are the premiership favourites. He go on to say, and if anyone tries to tell you down the street that they shouldn't be, they're not following the right game. Hey, Sam, I think that's you. Fucking absolute wanker. Anyway, still on February the 7th, if they're not winning the premiership this year, something has gone wrong. So you've gone from Charlie Curnow has to carry this team to even make the finals, and now you're thinking that they have to be premiership favourites no matter what.
Yeah, and you can't. And no person can tell you otherwise.
Anyway, yeah. And then he goes on the same day. Collingwood don't have the depth that the Blues have. Yet you say that Charlie Curnow is the only reason this team can make the 8. Whatever. Anyway. Then he goes on the February the 23rd. So this is 2 weeks later. He goes, who are the teams that will be making the grand final this year? Collingwood and Port.
Where's Carlton?
Where did Carlton go, bro? You fucking idiot. So that's our first nominee for the Prune of the Week. So I couldn't really... I was trying to talk to you. You were a little bit nicer. I wanted to call it the shit cunt of the week, but I thought that'd be a little bit hard to get.
I think it's too obvious in a way.
Yeah, a little bit
too obvious.
I don't know if I should admit. I mean, if I was to mail him the award, I feel like it'd be a little bit weird if I sent him the shit cunt award. I don't think he'd like that. I think it may be flagged by securities, the flight security. So calling him the Prune of the Week, that's what we're going to give it to him. If you think about it, similar to like how, if you remember the show before the game, they gave out Tool of the Week, and at the end of the year they gave Tool of the Year because that was sponsored. If we get sponsored by a prune company, that'd be pretty sick. Maybe we'll buy them a can of prunes, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, at the end of the year, guys, we'll pick the worst absolute wanker of the year. This can be AFL journalists, this can be AFL players if they do something really bad or whatever. It can be a coach, it can be something completely different. Just something footy related. If you guys see something that's, pissed you off, could even be one of us if we make some real fucking dumb decisions. No one is safe, basically, what we're putting out there. If you make a dumb fucking statement like Sam McClure does, you could be in the firing line. That could even be a commenter as well. Because boy howdy, probably not you guys who listen to the podcast, but there's probably a couple of people out there who leave a comment that I think, do you have a brain inside your head? Anyway, that's basically how the Prune of the Week will work, guys. Hopefully you do enjoy that segment. We're really growing stuff on this podcast as well. So we're trying to do as much things as we can to, add you guys in as well. I think would be really cool in the future would be to have a call-in segment so much. I think that'd be really cool. Like you leave like a voice message on Instagram or whatever, and we can add that in. Like if you're like asking us questions or... I know some YouTuber on Blues Abroad. You probably don't. You don't watch much AFL YouTube at all, but he does like after the games of Carlton, he'll do a live stream and he'll like get supporters to come into a Discord call and they will give their like opinion of the game. I don't know if we would do that. Maybe on a live stream, maybe we would. But I think that would be kind of cool to like add a way to people to talk to us or whatever. So anyway. Let's move on. So, before World Sport, of course, like I mentioned, or forget to mention every episode, we do have a Patreon. If you guys want to join it, you will get early access to this podcast, early access to the videos on this channel. You'll also get an exclusive discount code of 15% off anything you buy on the BR Designs website. And you will get access to the live streams for our other podcast, the Twinners podcast. So, if you want to join that, you also get a bunch of other exclusive perks as well. I think I'm going to start making some big announcements coming up. So we'll start a thing like a Discord or whatever, and everything that will be announced first will be right in there. Maybe we'll even do a Patreon only. Discord's part of the server as well. So, and you guys can obviously give your opinions on different designs coming up. I'm going to be trying to do every 6 to 8 weeks of a design dropping. We're going to try and drop a new one for every single team. Actually, I won't make that promise. I won't say every single team because 18 is going to be a bit hard, but I'll try my best, okay? But at the end of the day, if you want to join, link is down below to Patreon. And yeah, let's move into World Sport. So, it's last night, or this morning, Liverpool won the EFL Cup. I think that they probably should have won. I was gonna make a joke, but they had a goal already from Van Dijk and it got taken away for some fuck knows reason.
Well,
anyway. What, Endo was offside or something?
No, I thought it was something like Endo pulled someone's shirt or something.
Oh, is that what it was?
I don't know.
Okay.
But,
I didn't really see what the fuck the issue was.
If you look at the starting lineups, besides Van Dijk, everyone was pretty low in experience on the Liverpool 11. And you look at Chelsea's, who spent over 200 million on one player.
Let's look at... I think Chelsea made a good idea, to be honest. Anyway, let's look at this team. So, looking at the Liverpool team, they had some good players in. They obviously had Gakpo at the front, which is that's their second choice striker. They had Diaz, which is he's probably in their best 11, I would say. Endo, probably in their best... Endo, Gravenberch, and McAllister in their midfield. That's a pretty good midfield. And then they've got Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, and Bradley. So... Konate and Bradley, I think they're in and out, to be honest. But I think Van Dijk and Robertson, obviously, they're number one picks. Harvey Elliott was playing on the right wing. Then looking at the bench players now, they've got players that would have been in their team. There's not many, maybe Joe Gomez. But other than that, they had this sub-goalkeeper, really, in... what's his name? Kelleher?
Yeah.
Kelleher? Yeah, he played really well. He made so many really good saves. In that game, I think if it got to penalties, it would have been interesting to see how he played. But also Petrovic for Chelsea had a pretty good game in goal as well.
Yeah, well, I think they were saying during the commentaries, like, the amount of times that either team missed is like there's not going to be a goal in this game because both goalkeepers were doing so well.
Yeah. Well, I think looking at if you compare, if you look at the Liverpool lineup, it's not the most experienced, but it's not the worst either. But if you compare it to Chelsea's team, Chelsea absolutely put in their best 11. I think maybe minus Nkunku. I don't think anyone else gets in this team. For Chelsea wise, Petrovic in goal, Gusto, maybe he would have been changed. You got Disasi, Colwell, Chilwell, Casado in the midfield with Fernandes, Cole Palmer, Gallagher, Sterling, and then Nicholas Jackson up the top. Now look, I'm not saying Nicholas Jackson deserves to be in the best 11 of any team in the Premier League, but at the end of the day, he's probably Chelsea's number one striker. So. Nkunku did come on, Mudryk did come on as well, and Murawake did as well. So, but looking at the team, Chelsea, to be honest, could have won this game, I think, on the lineups. Liverpool didn't line up their best. I think they've had a few injuries, so they haven't had their best team line up.
There was actually a post before the final that they actually fielded up another 11 of injured players that they had, so...
Yeah. So for them to win it, I mean, good on them. Jurgen Klopp adds another trophy to the cabinet. That's
and
good to
still
see.
the treble. The English
treble is alive.
The English treble is alive.
Anyway, well, they can still win
The Europa League.
Europa League as well. So I mean, they could win. They could go for
They
the
could go
quad.
4 for 4.
They
and,
go for the quad,
Go for
imagine.
the fairy tale finish.
That would be good to see, to be honest. As not a Liverpool fan, but you know that would be cool. I mean, they're 1 point currently on top. But let's move into the Premier League. So there were some games on the weekend. Quickly look at it. So this morning for us was the Wolves vs Sheffield United game. Did you see the Sheffield United? Did you see the highlights?
What's the goal? Oh no, what did I see? Yeah, I did. Sorry, yeah, I did.
Did you see the two players going at it? The two Sheffield United players having a go?
No.
Go watch the highlights on Optus Sport as well as you guys, if you see it. They literally had two Sheffield United players started arguing and started almost pushing each other until the captain got involved and pushed them each other aside. It was so funny. And, I mean, look, end of the day, they're going to go down. So, of course, there's going to be people pretty angry.
Yeah.
But you can't take it out of your teammates.
No.
It's never a good look either. Like, I mean, I get, like, in when we see it in the footy or whatever, and you see people in training and people are like, oh, yeah, that's them being tough. It's like, it's still not a very good look.
No,
you shouldn't be able to about your teammates.
Yeah, I think that's stupid when you see that competitive side. Like when they go at them, it's like, why are you fighting with your teammate?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
bro. Like fucking hell. I'm not saying you should get. I mean, they're 40 different people. Obviously, they're not all going to get along with each other as much as they're going to get along with others.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they shouldn't be fucking fighting. Anyway, looking at the rest of the Premier League results, we had Arsenal win 4-1 over Newcastle. Big win for them. Manchester City got over the line against Bournemouth. Wasn't exactly a convincing
that wasn't convincing.
But they did enough. Fulham won 2-1 over Manchester United. That was a pretty good watch.
That was funny.
Crystal Palace won 3-0 over Burnley. A 1-1 draw between Brighton and Everton, although Brighton were very lucky to get away with a point in that one. Aston Villa won 4-2 in an entertaining game against Forest. And the Chelsea game was postponed against Tottenham, obviously, due to the game between Liverpool and Chelsea. But tomorrow morning, which you guys would already know, is West Ham versus Brentford. So not too much to really talk about there. Won't make too many changes in the table for anything important, really. With that 3-0 win, though, to Crystal Palace, it does push them quite a lot further away from that relegation zone. So let's go from the top. Liverpool still hold the top spot of the Premier League by 1 point on City, and then City lead 1 point on Arsenal. So there's a 2-point difference between top and third. I think the Premier League, this is going to be one of the closest finishes we've ever had, which is really good.
I've looked at the next couple of games from all those three. There's a lot of good games coming up, and to be honest, they've shown the fixture for the rest of the season. In my opinion, it might be a biased one, but I think Liverpool have the easiest run. But with City there, you just never know, and Arsenal just keep scoring.
Yeah, well, right now City they've won 4 of their past 5, and one of them was a draw. Looking at Liverpool, they've won 4 of their past 5, and that was a loss on their 5 games ago. And looking at Arsenal's recent form, they have won 4 of their past 5 and a loss to Porto in the Champions League. So we've also got to look at the Champions League as well, because that happened over the week, and that will be happening. I don't think there's any more Champions League games at the moment. No, we go back to the FA Cup on this Wednesday. Quickly, just going to take a look at I'm trying to bring up the Champions League, but of course I'm not going to be able to bring it up on my phone just easily. So, and then all the other games as well, because there was a bunch of league games between there we go, a couple of league games going on about the Europa League and the Conference League. Anyway, so Bayern Munich in their group stage absolutely dominated. They won 5 of their 6 games and then drew the other one. And then their first leg of the Champions League, they lose to Lazio.
Yeah. So now they're going to sack Tuchel. They're going to sack him at the end of the season.
It was away from home, so when they come back to home in their matching fixture, I think they will be fine. I think they'll beat them. I'm going to be honest. But, I mean, to lose 1-0, to be honest, they shouldn't be losing a game against Lazio. PSG won their game 2-0. Inter Milan won 1-0 over Atletico. PSV and Dortmund played a 1-1 draw. Porto got a 1-0 win against Arsenal.
I think that's fucking hilarious.
Have you seen the amount I don't know if you probably haven't seen them, but there's a bunch of clips of like Arsenal supporters like doing like watch parties on YouTube of it, and all of them being so fucking pissed off, but also almost knowing that there was going to be a 90-minute goal. And they're like, oh fuck, we're going to concede, and he just kicked that goal. And David Raya was like almost outside the box. He was that far away from his line. Obviously, he wasn't that far away, but fucking he was nowhere near his line, and he got chipped almost. It was pretty embarrassing. Napoli and Barcelona played a 1-1 draw as well. City won 3-1 over Copenhagen. Real Madrid won 1-0 over Leipzig. And that's basically all the group stage. The round of 16 so far. So the next Champions League game won't be until the 6th of March. So that's a couple of weeks. It's 2 weeks away, I believe. So we'll see how they play out. But yeah, at the moment, other than Bayern Munich, to be honest, a lot of the expected teams to win look like they're going to go.
So you're saying Arsenal aren't the favourites, so they're not going to go through, or do you think Arsenal do go through?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I think Porto are actually doing very well for themselves. I don't think they should be counted out. Yeah. I'm not saying they can win the whole thing, but I think that they're getting... I think that when people were saying that Arsenal got a pretty easy draw, I think... You're not kidding yourself, but I think the Porto are actually a pretty good team.
Yeah, it's a team that you don't really want to face.
I think they're a dangerous team.
Yeah, and especially because Arsenal do have such a bad record in the Champions League, and when it comes to the groups, to the knockout stage, that you don't... It's a team that... There's a team that you don't want to face is Porto.
Yeah. I think if they had a choice, I think they'd rather have played like a PSV or a Cope. I think they definitely would have... I think Porto's above the likes of PSV and Copenhagen, which are the two lowest. So people were like saying that, Arsenal got an easy run through. And it's like, I think there's a little bit of a difference between Manchester City getting Copenhagen and Arsenal getting Porto. That's just what my opinion was anyway. And then, as you were supposed to look at the Premier League relegation battle, because that's always interesting. I always like to take a look at that. Now, at the moment, I think it is very interesting as well. The Championship, which is obviously the second tier of English football, has got the 3 teams that got relegated last season in the top 3 spots right now. And then the 3 teams that got promoted to the Premier League are all could be just relegated. So
that doesn't normally happen. Normally, you see when the teams are promoted, you at least get one that stays up. In the Premier League, and so it's there. I wouldn't know this when the last time all 3 of them got promoted, then got relegated the next year.
Yeah, they all did a straight swap. I don't know when that's happened, but I have seen a lot of talk about the last few years, probably around COVID or whatever, that the Championship have got a lot of money in a lot of the teams from the Premier League getting demoted have got such a bank on them that they usually just go straight back up.
Yeah.
And usually a lot of teams go down. Like Aston Villa, for example, in 2020, I think, were down in the Championship. And now, because they were able to go down, recruit players, and then go straight back up, and then they were able to build a team off that.
Yeah. Well,
so that's what Leicester have been doing, that a lot of people have been saying.
Well, you look at, just for example, Burnley. When they were back in the Premier League 3 seasons ago, they couldn't score. So you weren't shocked when they went down. Then they came back and they were so good last season in the Championship.
Yeah, and Vincent Kompany joined. Everyone was like, a lot of people would have been thinking, they're going to be pretty. They very much could stay up. And they're performing terribly.
And they're doing the same thing again. They're not scoring.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing again for them, but so it's different. Yeah.
Well, I mean, looking at the bottom 2 in Burnley and Sheffield United. Burnley were top last season, and Sheffield United were second.
Yeah,
and they were dominating the Championship. They go to the Premier League, and their goal, like Sheffield United's goal difference, is one of the lowest it's ever, like at this stage of the season, anyone's ever had.
Yeah,
and Burnley's is only 11 goals better, which isn't that much better. And I think they've only won 2 games this season. But Luton Town, who scraped through, no one saw them even winning a game really. Are the only team inside that relegation zone now that look like they could get out. So looking at the relegation zone, we have Brentford sitting in 15th with 25 points. Nottingham Forest sitting in 16th with 24 points. Everton in 17th spot with 21. Luton on 20 in 18th spot. Then we have Burnley and Sheffield United on 13 down the bottom. So I still now I know you said that Crystal Palace were your team that you feel a little bit up and down about.
Well, since they sacked their bloody manager, they've been starting to perform.
It's not like they sacked him. He was sick, Roy Hodgson. He's like
but I think it was coming.
Yeah, true.
But it's Crystal Palace look. Well, how far are they off for relegation?
So they're currently 8 points away from relegation.
Yeah, you think that might. It's probably not enough, but it might be enough to get them through.
Well, they've got 12 more games in their season. Luton Town still have a game in hand than any team around that area. Well, sorry, they've got they got a game in hand on Bournemouth. On Crystal Palace, so they could very well win a game and then bring themselves into the top. They got a game on Everton as well. I think right now that looking at the teams around there, like from Crystal Palace in 13th to bottom, looking at Bournemouth, I think they'll be fine. I think that they've got Solanke there. I think they've got enough goal prowess that they'll be able to get the wins against the bottom teams when they play them. Brentford, I think now with Ivan Toney being back after his long layoff, obviously through suspension, they should be fine.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest, I think, are one of the teams with Everton that I think now are very close.
Yeah, I think it might be down to those three teams to see who takes that last.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest, Everton, and Luton Town.
Yeah.
Right now, unfortunately, I do think Luton will go back down. I'd love to say that they're going to be fine. They'll be able to get out of it, but I just think there's so much against them.
Yeah.
That I just don't see them being able to pull it off.
No.
Unfortunately.
And the last couple of weeks, the last couple of games, they've just games that they should have got a point. Or we've got a win from, they've got a point or they haven't won.
Yeah, well, Sheffield United they didn't even get a point off of, and they should have.
Yeah, and it's a long season, so you kind of...
I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't try. I think what a lot of people have said about Luton is the fact that they are building a squad that's going to be... Sorry, they're going to build a squad that's going to win the championship next season and then go straight back up and build again. So they're going to use this as like that. I don't like to think that way. I like to think that they want to push into the Premier League, and people would say, I think it would be amazing if they were able to hold in for a year. Like, not to say just for a year, but I mean, we saw Huddersfield Town 5 years ago with Aaron Moy and whatever have a pretty terrible squad on paper, able to survive in the Premier League,
and then survive for a couple of years until they went back down again. So
I mean, that was because Aaron Moy wasn't
exactly
there anymore.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that. At this stage, unfortunately, I do think that Luton are going to go down. But I think Everton, I honestly think they're going to be fine. I think Nottingham Forest are the real question mark. I think they've had a couple of okay games, but they just can't defend either. I think they conceded way too many goals. And they do have some scorers like Chris Wood and Callum Hudson-Odoi who can score a couple of goals. But there's not a lot of prowess up there haven't got enough that's going to kick a winning score if they concede 3 goals. They're never going to get a game of scoring 4 goals and then winning. I just think that if they're going to... I don't think they've had a game over 3-0 for a very long time. And I don't see them holding a 1-0, 2-0 win or a 2-1 win. I think they concede way too many. So I think they're the danger. They do have 4 points on Luton right now, but Luton still have that game in hand, I believe, on Nottingham Forest. Yeah, they do. And their goal difference is only 2 goals worse than Nottingham. So, I think that they can jump. I think Luton can be the team to jump Nottingham Forest, but other than that, I don't really see much hope for Luton.
Yeah.
So, which is really unfortunate. I mean, they've had an okay run before the last 3 weeks. Unfortunately, they had Sheffield United, which they needed to win, and they didn't. Then they had United, and then they had Liverpool.
Yeah.
Which they did okay for a little bit, but then they just got demolished.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. They played well against United, but just got beaten in the late stages. Who, by the way, they lose Rasmus Højlund, and all of a sudden they're the worst team. Anyway,
you would have said that at the start of the season when we played. I'm like,
shit. I don't think so at all. But anyway, it does look like that their next game's against City. I think that's an FA Cup game. Yeah, it is. So they play Aston Villa, and then they play Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and Nottingham. Those 3 games, so between the 10th of March and the 17th of March, so a week, we'll kind of know where Luton are going to finish.
Yeah.
We'll kind of know if they're going to be a chance of surviving or they're gone. So, yeah, but that's basically all we have for this week's episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, guys. Thank you for listening or watching. If you did listen on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars and leave a follow so to be notified on every single episode. And also, we are releasing the review videos on Spotify as an audio listen. So if you guys want to listen over there, you don't want to, if you don't have YouTube, you don't have premium or whatever, and you can't watch it, but you want to listen to it, you can do that. I think a couple of people have already done that, so I really do appreciate it. We'll leave a little thumbnail that's a little bit different so you guys can decipher which one is which. But yeah, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, comment down below how you're feeling about the podcast or the channel this year. We released a new AFL trailer. I've done that for a lot, the finals last year and the grand final. I did one for this upcoming season. So if you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know. Go to BR Designs for the best footy prints in the game. Leave us with any last words, Jack?
No.
Not even a premiership like call for Port Adelaide to call out. Powell Pepper should get away with it. I think that's what you said before the podcast.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a soft hit. I think Mark Key made it look better. Worse
I think
than
he
it was.
milked it.
Yeah, I think it was just.
Anyway, guys, before we end our lives and get a bunch of hate comments, we're obviously joking. Obviously, what we meant was in the podcast, but I'm sure there's not a lot of people listening now anyway. Thank you for listening and watching. We will catch us all next week.
See you later, guys.